All right, class, welcome. Today we're embarking on a journey millions of years into the past. We're going to uncover the story of our earliest ancestors. It's a powerful tale of survival, of innovation, and ultimately a revolution that quite literally changed everything for humanity. So let's get right into it.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start at the very beginning, with the first humans and their raw struggle for survival. Then, we'll move into a really interesting transitional period, which sets the stage for the big one, the Great Revolution that created the world we know. And to make sure this isn't all just theory, we're going to dig into some real archaeological evidence to see how we actually know all this.
Okay, so the Stone Age is broken into these three main periods, but I want you to just take a second and look at the dates on this timeline. What's absolutely staggering is just how long the Paleolithic, the Old Stone Age, actually lasted. It represents the vast, overwhelming majority of all human history. It's almost hard to wrap your head around that scale.
So, let's dive right into our first section. What was life actually like for these earliest hunter-gatherers during that immense, almost unimaginable stretch of time?
Here's the crucial point. For millions of years, human existence really boiled down to two things: finding food and making very, very basic tools to help them get that food. There were no homes, no villages, just a constant, relentless search for the next meal.
So this begs a critical question, right? Why didn't these early people just build cities or settle down somewhere? Why were they constantly on the move?
Well, the answer is pretty simple. They were completely dependent on their environment. They weren't shaping nature at all, they were just reacting to it. Survival meant you had to follow the animal herds, you had to know which plants were ready to eat in which season, and you had to find water. Staying in one place, that just wasn't an option. It would have meant starvation.
And this visual really highlights that first major leap in human innovation. Tools. On the left, you see these crude, heavy implements from the Old Stone Age, basically just shaped rocks. But over time, look at the right. You get these smaller microliths. They're sharper, they're more specialized, and they're way more effective. You have to understand, this wasn't just a change in tools, it marked a fundamental change in how humans were thinking and solving problems.
Okay, next, let's move into the Mesolithic, or Middle Stone Age. I want you to think of this period as the crucial bridge between that ancient, nomadic world and the revolutionary changes that were about to create civilization as we know it. So, the key technological advancement here was the microlith. We just saw them. These small, precisely crafted stone points could be attached to spears or arrows. This made hunting and fishing so much more efficient than just throwing a big rock. It was a total game changer for getting food.
Now what's happening here is a monumental shift in behavior. With better tools and also a changing climate, people started to, experiment. They started to notice that seeds could be planted and would grow into food. This was the birth of a totally radical new idea. What if, instead of just reacting to nature, we could start to control it?
And that brings us to what is, arguably, the single most important transformation in all of human history, the Neolithic Revolution. And I want to be clear, this wasn't just an evolution, it was a complete and total reinvention of human life.
This quote just perfectly captures the profound impact of this era. It was this fundamental shift from being food gatherers who were totally subject to the whims of nature to becoming food producers who can actually shape their own environment and destiny.
See, this revolution wasn't just one thing. It was a cascade of interconnected developments. Farming let people stay in one place, which led to the first permanent villages. Domesticating animals gave them a stable source of meat, milk, and labor. And all this stability, it freed up time, which led to brand new innovations like pottery to store grain and eventually the wheel to transport it. Everything was connected.
Okay, so how do we know all this? This isn't just guesswork. Let's look at a case study from prehistoric India to see how archaeologists literally piece this entire story together from physical, tangible evidence they pull out of the ground.
This map shows you just how widespread these ancient communities were across what is now India. Every single one of those dots is a site where archaeologists have uncovered vital clues, tools, bones, the foundations of settlements that let us put together the timeline of this incredible revolution.
Let's zoom in on one of these sites, Begor in Rajasthan. It is a perfect example of that Mesolithic transition we talked about. What did archaeologists find there? They found those advanced microlith tools, right alongside evidence of early structures and the bones of domesticated animals like sheep and goats. It's like a snapshot, frozen in time, of a community right in the middle of that massive shift from hunting to herding.
And this table, this really brings the evidence home. Take a close look at that first row for the site of Marigar. Finding the bones of sheep, goats, and cattle right alongside stored wheat and barley. For an archaeologist, that's the jackpot. It's direct physical proof of farming and animal domestication happening in the same place at the same time. Each row here is another piece of that grand puzzle.
All right, let's quickly review the key takeaways with a couple questions. It's a great way to make sure these big concepts are locked in.
First question, what were the key factors that kicked off the Neolithic Revolution? Now, if you're thinking about how agriculture and animal domestication and settling down all work together, you are exactly on the right track. The answer is, of course, all of these. They were all interconnected parts of this one massive shift.
And for our second one, which period is defined by the use of those small, refined stone tools, the ones we called microliths? That would be the Mesolithic period, that crucial time of transition and innovation that set the stage for everything to come.
So, why does all this ancient history matter to you today? Well, because the process we just walked through, analyzing evidence, connecting technology to social change, thinking in long timelines, these are the exact skills used in fascinating careers like archaeology, anthropology, and museum work. You're learning how to read the hidden story of humanity itself.
And I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. We call it a revolution because it completely changed everything. But what do you think its single greatest legacy is? Is it our modern cities? Is it our massive population? Is it the food we eat? I want you to think about how the world you live in right now was born from those very first seeds planted so